Hey, we're back. It's Patty and Al, the professional lovers in training.
Hello.
Have you missed us? We've been gone for a few weeks, but I'm really glad that Married at First Sight has decided to do their couples cam and focus on their successes.
Yes.
So we said, hey, since they're going to come back and, show a little bit about what couples are going through in this quarantine, sort of now slowly coming out period, we would do it too. So we're just going to take a few things from the show that kind of resonate with us and talk about it from our own perspective. Calling it Quarantine Confessions. Now that the quarantine is somewhat relaxed, not over.
Definitely not over.
But relaxed. I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk about some of the things that we're going through, like some of the things the couple's going through. So the first confession I have is...
We're both finding out.
I'm glad we don't have young children.
Okay, I knew that. Which is true. It would be, I just can't imagine what young parents are going through, having to entertain and educate and deal with day in, day out, every minute of their awake moments.
When our son was, school age, I never wanted to homeschool. I mean, I'm really good at augmenting school, coming up with kind of extra things to do to reinforce but I could not be an all-day teacher of young kids. Somebody would be dead. So that's my first confession, and Godspeed to all of you parents out there who have young children. And you're having to help them with schooling and try to keep them occupied and entertained without sitting them in front of the computer or the iPad or the TV all day, especially if they're, younger than school age. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. You are getting through this.
One way or another.
Been there, done that. Hard, but... so
it's all a temporary situation.
Temporary. So that was that's my number one confession.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily have a confession. I do. Well, I guess one confession that I do have is that I am happy for the opportunity of being an experimental handyman.
Yes, while other couples are doing puzzles and painting by number sets and playing games,
I'm knocking out walls and floors and
sawing wood and hammering and let's see, what have we gotten new since you've been handymanning? He built himself new shelves in the garage. 2 new rolling tables for different kind of saws.
Yeah, bought a saw. Well, it's been a while, but I knew that I would be using it eventually. Bought a framing gun.
Okay, so right now that just sounds like you've been in Home Depot shopping up a storm.
Well, hey, it's my time.
Of shopping up a storm.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting prepared, getting my tools.
Tim the Tool Man. Well, yeah, and
power tools.
And then ripping out our bathroom.
Yes, it is totally gutted.
It's totally gutted.
Well, it's on the mend now. I'm starting to put down subfloor and back of boards. It was
totally gutted.
Yeah, it was kind of scary.
Yeah, because he got sick at first.
Yeah.
And then he got smart and called in somebody to actually do the rip out.
Paid him to get sick.
But yeah, and so that's how he's kind of been keeping busy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of couples are talking about, spending time at home together and the challenges that has brought. Not so much for me. I work from home anyway, so nothing has really changed for me other than he's been home, working from home. It's a good thing that we like spending time together.
Mm-hmm.
So that hasn't been that big of a deal.
Yeah.
We enjoy each other's company and we spend time together all the time. Me being an introvert, I like being at home. I don't need a lot of social interaction. In fact, I have to force myself to step outside and get some sun and air because I can, I'm a freelance writer and editor. So a lot of my time is spent sitting in front of the computer, with a lot of brain power going on. So the only thing that we've had to work through is where he works. Because when he first started working at home, he was in my space, which is the dining room. And, I'm sitting at the table where I normally work, and he was sitting over on the couch. And, but he does a lot of stuff on the phone.
Yeah, I have a lot of conversational interaction because I deal with accounts and people are concerned about their financing and it's a school situation. So the inquiries are constant and I have to kind of
and he's on Zoom meetings and conference calls.
So it interferes with her brain
my
waves.
ability to think, because I'm used to working in quiet. Everyone's gone and I'm here alone. No music, no radio. It's quiet. And all of a sudden, it was no longer quiet. So that's the one thing we had to work out.
And we did.
So I threw him into the back room.
Which is supposed to be her office anyway.
Yeah, and we hadn't gotten it to that point yet, but it's
because
slowly
we're still doing a bathroom,
making its way to that point, and that's where he has started camping out. So now I've got the dining room back, and it's quiet, and I'm able to work like I used to. But I've liked having you home. In fact, you had to go into the office a couple times, and he was there all day. And I was just like, wait, I miss him.
Working.
He's not, but I'm used to you working in the back, and I can come see you whenever I want, or he can come up front. And yeah, I didn't like that so much.
No. Well, I mean, it's an adjustment. It's
And so I would ask you for a quarantine confession before we leave, and that is, as a extrovert who enjoys going and getting out and going, what's been the hardest thing about, have you felt any kind of...
Yes.
See? Well, you weren't confessing, so confess. What's that been like?
Not being able to get out and go. I'm former athlete status. My mind still thinks of activity, and basically, two of the many things that I feel I still can do is play a little golf and ride my bike.
And we started out riding bikes of consistently, and then the rain started.
Yeah, it's been a very wet season, except for maybe the last week or two. But although it's raining right at this very moment, but I have missed riding my bike, and knowing that this quarantine situation is what it is. I would ride to destinations, stop off at a store, grab a water, and just kind of create intervals within my ride. And you just can't necessarily do that anymore, and I don't want to ride my bike with a mask on my face and it's just not free. And that's my whole objective. When I'm out, I want to be free. So my not being out has been replaced by hitting something. So I'm beating up on walls. Not somebody.
The wood, the walls.
Something.
Nails.
Yeah. the
all of
noise
that.
and banging and, just tinkering, using my hands. I'm a tactile kind of guy, and I've found ways to use my hands.
So bottom line
And I'll be playing golf tomorrow.
Yeah. So bottom line is you got to find something that you
Fills the
really
void.
enjoy
Yeah.
to fill the void, to become kind of the way of keeping your sanity. For those who have the young children, I would say give each other, some 30-minute breaks. Like, Dad, you take the kids for 30 minutes if Mom's been the one doing most of the homeschooling and stuff, so she can have some time to herself. Let her take a bubble bath without the kids knocking on the door and asking for her. Mom,
let your inner child take over and play and have fun.
Split up the duties.
Be creative.
And give each other, 30 minutes of space to just have some alone time.
Yeah.
So that you can both re-energize and keep yourselves going, because that's really the only way to successfully keep your family going.
True.
Is if you keep yourselves going. And and then have fun doing stuff that you love to do.
And I mean, there'll be times where, you're just seeing a lot more of each other than you're accustomed to, but don't let that be an excuse for anything. For anything. If anything, allow it to be a reason to become more creative and more passionate about one another. Communicate on ideas and thoughts and the future and plans. And I mean, this is a perfect time to create plans. Many of us sometimes get into a rut and a routine, and we just think of everyday life. And just reflecting back on some of the many conversations that we've had regarding spending time, you're in default mode. So,
meaning that you're together because you have to be.
Right. So now, due to the fact that you are going to be in each other's company a little more than normal, try to become creative even in your thought process. What are some of the dreams and aspirations that both of you have thought about doing? And
still.
Right. Because just because you've, started on a different path doesn't mean that your desires and your dreams and your aspirations are dead. You can implement them and include them. Maybe even chart another path, because once all of this current temporary situation is over, you may not be in a mode to go back to the routine that you once were in. And you may need something new. So
start now.
Yeah.
Get with it. And that's all we've got for you on this tonight. And we will see you next week with another quarantine confession prompted by Married at First Sight's Couple Cam.
All right.
Peace.
Enjoy.